Hey everyone, how's it going? Muthurajah here. Obviously, I'm super excited. Don't mind my weird smile or whatever. I just got a new camera, so I'm very happy to finally have an upgrade in that department, and I look forward to learning more and making good use of this new piece of equipment. So, speaking of equipment, I decided to talk about and do a lesson on something that I feel like is not spoken about enough with bass players, and not for the reasons that you would typically talk about it. Okay, so before I get to the actual lesson, do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or if this is your first time. Consider joining my channel where I post weekly lessons, kind of behind the scenes kind of lessons or extended lessons on what's already on the platform. I'm also taking personal requests on there. So yeah, look into that and let me know if you have any questions about that. So let's move on. Oftentimes, what I feel like bass players tend to negate is dynamics. Okay, and I don't mean this on the bandstand exclusively. Just generally, when we play anything, we conveniently ignore dynamics a lot of times. We don't pay close attention to it. And what starts to happen when you don't do that is that the way you set up your instrument, the way you set your amp up, the way your sound is set up starts to get in the way of your dynamic headroom. So first option to try to fix this is to get a compression pedal or X number of pedals to compensate, volume pedal, boost, and you name it, it's all going to be there. But what actually starts to happen is that it doesn't help. So I want to talk about a few things that you can look into that will enable you to not struggle with this particular side of playing bass. Okay, so first things first. Okay, I'm assuming that you already have decent technique, you can play your scales rather well, you can groove well, so on and so forth. But what I actually want you to do is two things. Turn your amp up and lighten your touch. Not too much, but drop it. If you're picking up here, I want you to bring your normal picking down there. Okay, I'm not saying stop doing this, but start here. So what I mean is, if I'm playing in a group, let's say if I'm walking, when I walk, I pick at probably 50% of the general intensity I would pick with. Now imagine I'm going to take a solo. I left enough headroom with my picking hand so that when I'm accompanying the musicians that I'm playing with, I'm supporting them. So my volume is adjusted for. I'm not trying to turn to my amp to turn myself up or turn to a pedal to give me that or start moving my knobs around. In fact, my knobs, okay, that's a little funny. My volume knobs are maxed out usually. My amps are pretty loud. I would say sometimes I would max it out to 75% of what the amp can give me, depending on how loud the gig generally is. And then I just kind of relax with my technique. I just take the back seat when I'm playing bass. And then as and when I have to pop things out, I push it a bit with my picking hand. So what I'm saying is, I'm not telling you to stop picking hard, but I'm saying start picking softer and use your amp to enable that. And what starts to happen is that you won't struggle with the variations in volume that you will face when you're playing dynamically. Because if I'm playing a pop gig and if I have to play just, right, but the chorus, I need to pick things up a little bit, and then back to the verse. I'm just playing a random form in my head. Okay, I'm starting to pick things up a bit. Okay, so I'm giving myself headroom. That's what we need. And I have to also say this, what I'm talking about is very specific to playing live. In the studio, you can do so much more because there is the after effect where you can do things post recording. I can throw on compression, I can automate, I can add a drive, I can do so many things. But live, it's done and dusted in the moment. Okay, so that's the first thing. Learn to pick a little lighter, turn up your amp. The second thing is an odd one, but it ties in with, again, your technical foundation. Whatever you play quietly, also learn to play it loud, and vice versa. Similarly, whatever you play fast, learn to play it slow, and vice versa. So, if, say, I play Teen Town, okay, that's my general picking volume. Now I want to try picking a little harder. I already missed a few notes. Okay, now quieter. So whatever I play quick, I try to play it quiet as well. And it's so much harder than it seems, even if you take a scale. Okay, and what I want you to pay attention to is at any point in time, I'm not over picking, I'm not digging in. Okay, I do that, but I try not to do it when I'm recording, at least with my current gain staging. Okay, so similarly, whatever I play slow, I try to play it loud and soft. So if I'm playing like a ballad, or let's say Autumn in New York, louder. And what I also want to mention is that dynamic range is not just specific to pitch or the timbre and tone. It's also your projection overall. So if you want to play a nice low A over here versus naturally, if I want the levels to match, if I want to say this is my midway point, I want everything to match to that, my bottom note, bottom A, has to be slightly quieter, and then this guy has to be more projected. And then because of the timbre and pitch, it will jump out. So you don't have to try too hard to pop that note, but you need to push it a little bit. Okay, so these are some very simple yet extremely effective ways you can improve your ability to have dynamic range, okay, without having to depend on your gear yet, of course, with the exception of a good amp. And also, depending on what amp you play, sometimes different amplifications, the models, whatever chips and whatnot that go into building it, they have different effects, so your sound can change a lot. So do experiment with different amps if you haven't already, and try experimenting by just going straight into a speaker. Even, you know, I've tried a whole bunch of variations just for me to come to a particular conclusion, and I'm so glad that I'm with these guys, and it's working really well in my favor, because I've struggled for a long time to find this balance. Okay, so I hope this helps, and yeah, if you dig this lesson and if you would like to see more similar topics covered with regards to gear and technique, do let me know. I'll be happy to look into it. All right, I will see you all in the shed until the next one. Peace.